Hello guys! Okay, today I'm going to be making a Philly cheesesteak, and I'm going to try using these veggie beef tenders. They're by Eve's, and I do not believe I have yet tried this product or done a review on it. I'm not sure if it's newer, but I hardly even found any pictures of it online, so perhaps it is. I'm going to use some pepper. Now, remember I said always keep an eye out on your reduced produce rack at the grocery store. This was $1.49 for all these colorful peppers. Look at that. Yellow, red, orange. Awesome. And I'm going to use an onion. Now I'm going to probably use a mix of the Follow Your Heart or / Earth Island mozzarella and the Daya Swiss cheese. So I'm going to get started by cutting up my onions and peppers. Okay, this recipe is pretty much going to be a two-part recipe with me using the Eve's beefless strips here for my daughter's Philly cheesesteak, and I'm adding some of the Earth Island mozzarella cheese to that, just cutting it up into strips and putting it on top. And because I want this to be extra cheesy, I'm also going to add some Daya mozzarella shreds. And I'm just going to let it warm up in the pan, take the pan off the heat, and just let this melt. And once it's melted, I'm going to put it on the sandwich. So now it's all melted, and I've got a bun here with some mayonnaise on there, and I'm just taking it out. And I have to tell you, this absolutely smells incredible, and it looks delicious. I cannot wait to taste this. Alright guys, here it is. It looks good. Looks like steak. If you had this somewhere, no one would think it wasn't. I'm going to take the smallest bite because it's for my daughter. But I've got to sample it for you guys.
That wasn't even a small bite.
Sorry. Really good.
You owe me more food now.
Now, despite the Eve's meat seeming a bit soft when I first started it, as you'll see in the review, this turned out absolutely delicious with the mushrooms and onions, and it made a perfect Philly cheesesteak. Now on to the next one. Okay guys, so this is what I'm going to use to make the second Philly cheesesteak. I'm going to try out the beefless strips by Gardein, just to see how these taste. I think these already have a bit more of a seasoning to them, so I'm going to use some of that. I'm going to use half an onion, a few mushrooms right here, and a couple half pieces of the orange and yellow peppers. I'm going to slice that up. This is what I just defrosted this. The difference is this was frozen, so in order to, I'm going to cut them into smaller pieces. So I'm just taking out a handful of chunks right here, guys, and putting in a bowl. And that's probably good. I'm going to use about this much, cut them up a little bit, saute them, and I'll be back in a moment. Okay, I forgot to mention that I'm also going to be putting some steak seasoning on the meat, on the meatless meat, just season to taste. So I'm putting a little bit of that. I'm going to put a little bit of garlic, and I've got, I'm just going to show you. So I've put a little bit of olive oil in my pan. It's on medium heat. And I'm going to start by putting in my onions and my pepper. And I'm going to saute that till it's like translucent. Then I'm going to take it off, put the meat in, and start, well, I'll put the mushrooms before that, but I'll be back in a moment, guys. Okay, it looks like a lot, and maybe it is, because I've got the peppers here. When I made the one for my daughter, I didn't have any peppers. But the onions definitely wilt down quite a substantial bit. So I'm just going to cook these till they're, wilted down, and I'll be back in a moment. Okay, so saute for about 5 minutes until it's soft. And I'm not going to put the mushrooms in with this. Since I'm adding all of this with the meat in a little bit, I will add the mushrooms afterwards. So just taking that out right now, putting it on a plate. Now I'm going to add a little more oil to the pan. Okay, I'm going to put my Gardein seasoned beefless meat. And you're going to want to cook this, especially if it's frozen, you're going to want to cook this until it's moist throughout and warm throughout and no longer holding any liquid that you can tell. Okay. I would say probably saute at least 5 minutes, or use the instructions on the package. Again, because this was frozen, this will take a little longer to cook than the Eve's meat that I used for the other vegan Philly cheesesteak. Okay, so I found that because this has been in the freezer, it definitely has its own amount of liquid to it. I tasted a small morsel, so I'm just sauteing it more to hopefully get any extra moisture out of there, and I want to taste another piece. The flavor profile seemed very similar to the Eve's, so let me just take another little bite here. I think I do like this one better for sure, but the flavor profile is not all that different in all reality. Now I'm going to add my mushrooms, and I'm going to continue sauteing until the mushrooms are soft. Probably another few minutes. Okay, I am back. Now I'm going to add my onion and pepper mixture. And just continue to saute till everything seems nicely incorporated. You know, if you find you have too much of the onion mixture, you know, you can always take some out. But, you know, some people love their Philly cheesesteak with lots of that stuff. So far, this has a lot. I'm leaving it as it is. Alright. Just going to saute a little bit longer, guys, before I add the cheese, and I'll be back in a moment. Alright, as I'm sauteing it a bit more, the onions seem to be cooking down more, so not quite as voluminous as earlier. But I'm now going to add my cheese, and I'll do the same that I did with the first one. I'm going to put some of the Earth Island mozzarella slices, and some of the Daya shreds. Actually, I think I'll turn the stove off so it stays warm. And I'm going to put my Daya cheese on there like this. Probably quite a bit of cheese, actually. Just play it by ear as to how much cheese you want. And then I'm just going to cover this just so that I have some extra heat coming into the pan. And I'm going to get my bread toasted. I'll show you what I'm using. This is some whole wheat bread made in the store on sale. I got 8 pieces like this for $1, 50% off. Look out for your deals, and this is fresh and moist. Like, look at that. Beautifully soft. So I'm going to get this toasted, and I'll be back in a moment. Okay, so I've toasted my bread, and I'm going to use some mayo on here. Feel free to use vegan butter, or nothing. But I'm putting some mayo. Oops. And this is how beautiful my Philly cheesesteak mixture looks. Just gonna try to get it out of this in as much of one piece as I can. Oops. Okay. Oops. Okay, guys, there it is. Now the one thing I didn't do is add salt to this. Add salt to taste if you like. It looks great. The cheese, oops, you can't see that. The cheese is all beautifully melty. Look at that. Add more cheese if you like. Alright, I'm going to take a bite. Look at that, guys. Yum yum. Okay, I'll take a bite of this side. That is a delicious vegan Philly cheesesteak. This is phenomenal. Tastes great, guys. It's all the other flavorings. It's everything else. I mean, I'm not saying, oh, this isn't a piece of actual beef. I'm just thinking this tastes great. Mmm. Sorry, mouth is full. And so beautifully cheesy. Absolutely delicious vegan Philly cheesesteak. Hope you try this recipe, and if you do, let me know. And thanks, guys, for watching. Okay, it's the next day, and my mother said that the Philly cheesesteak from last night smelled so good that even this morning the house still smelled it. I'm just going to give you my tip. Do not add water to the Eve's veggie meat. It's just not necessary. In fact, I like the consistency when I made the second one without any water in there. I had to make a second one for my daughter. She really liked it that much. Okay, so this is what it looks like. No liquid added. Just keep sauteing, guys, until it's cooked. And this one's for my mom. And this was so good, guys, I had to try making another one. This time I used the Gardein chicken. Gonna quickly take a bite. Stunning. Just stunning. Okay, guys, thanks for watching.